Good morning. Hey, maybe you can tell us your name and where do you live?
Good morning. My name is Martin Land. I live in Northwood, Ohio, which is just outside of Toledo, Ohio.
All right. And Martin, you are dressed in a uniform. Maybe you can tell me what your role is here at this event.
Well, my role at this event this weekend is commander of the U.S. forces. This coat is an undress coat. It's probably the most common coat that the U.S. American officers wore based on portraiture.
All right. And then how many muskets do you have here at this event?
In our battalion right now, we're counting about 75, I think, muskets. Yeah,
Nice.
This morning.
Nice
This morning,
turnout. And then those units that comprise your battalion, maybe you can highlight a couple of the places they're from.
Sure, they're from all over the place. So we have some people from Fort McHenry and Chesapeake Bay area, and then we also have 22nd Infantry, which is actually Toronto area. 25th Infantry, a couple guys from 25th Infantry was Southern Illinois. The unit I'm associated with, Cushing's Company, Artillery Company, is of course from the Toledo area. Let's see who else is here. Rifles. My rifle detachment is from all over the place, but mostly northern New York and central Ohio. And then let's see, Canadian Volunteers are from the Niagara area.
So Canadian Volunteers. What do you mean? I thought you're the U.S. Army.
We are the U.S. Army. So during the War of 1812, there were a number of Canadians that took an oath of allegiance and sided with the United States. And they were put together into a bigger unit that was collectively called the Canadian Volunteers. And so we have some, they're actual Canadians, but they fulfill that role.
All right. Now, your home base, you're affiliated with a historic site. Maybe you can tell me what role you play there and what that site is.
That's at Fort Meigs in Perrysburg, Ohio, just south of Toledo. We'll get the commercial snippet in there that it's the largest wooden wall fortification in North America. It's slightly larger than Fort George, if anybody knows Fort George.
Fort George in Niagara-on-the-Lake,
Yep,
Ontario.
And Niagara-on-the-Lake, yeah. We have all told about 10 acres inside our stockade. The reenactment company that I'm associated with, Cushing's Company, 2nd U.S. Artillery, is also the volunteer group that does support at Fort Meigs. So there's, like most historic sites, they have a tiny little staff, and there's lots of work to do. There's wood to be split, and things to be done, and so we do a lot of support for Fort Meigs. I'm currently the president of that organization.
Oh, amazing. Now, Fort Meigs, it's associated with the War of 1812, and you have programming throughout the year, but there's one event that I know that I regularly attend. Could you tell us a little bit about that and what it recreates?
We our premier 1812 event. We do events that support different time periods, but our premier event is called First Siege, and it commemorates the first siege by British forces on Fort Meigs. There were two. The first one took place at the end, between the end of April and May 6th or 7th of 1813. And so we commemorate that. We do it a little bit later to line up on a holiday weekend in the States. So we do it in the Memorial Day weekend for the event, which is the end of May.
All right, and then it represents, I think, activities that happened in early May 1813.
Correct.
So the British laid siege to Fort Meigs. They wanted to try to bottle up or stop, accumulation of American forces that were going to recapture Fort Detroit.
Yes, Fort Meigs is not, although today we call it a fort, it was never really intended to be a permanently occupied post. It's more of a retrenched camp. the U.S. forces arrived there in February, and it's today you would think of it as a forward operating base. So General Harrison, the commander of the Army, is stockpiling supplies for anticipated push up into Detroit and then subsequently into Upper Canada, across the river and into Upper Canada. He is coordinating with Commodore Oliver Hazard Perry, who is responsible for building a fleet on Lake Erie. So it's a combined Army-Navy operation. It's one of the few times that Army and Navy actually worked well together between Harrison and Perry.
All right, well, I got to add, Fort Meigs is one of my favorite sites, and it's a must-attend event for me every year. I love the local communities, Perrysburg, Maumee. They're so welcoming and appreciative of reenactors that travel to the site. And I got to add, Marty, become a really good friends with you and your wife Tammy.
We have known each other a long time.
More than 20 years. All right, maybe in closing, there's a ceremony that happens every Saturday of your first siege weekend.
Oh, so and that is a reenactor thing. It goes back to when we first met. We always thought of the 41st Regiment as like our sister company from a different mother kind of thing. And we somehow got into a tradition of burning a wheel of some description in commemoration of a number of people. It's kind of grown over the years, and we've burned various sizes of artillery wheels, or just something that vaguely resembles a wheel will do. But we try to get the entire camp now. All the participants gather around. We have an open tavern, and we basically enjoy Saturday evening together and burn the wheel.
Well, it's funny. It went from a handful of people to literally encompassing every reenactor on the site, and it's an example that there's a lot of things within the hobby that really reinforces that we're a community, right? And then we have relationships and friendships.
I think during COVID one year we did it on a Zoom meeting.
We did. We had a virtual burning the wheel. We were not ever going to miss that again. So, all right, Marty, thank you so much. Really appreciate you sharing.
All right. Well, you're very welcome. This was enjoyable.